Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Welcome to Spiritual Awakening Podcast, Season 2 and Episode 1. Today, I have a very loving sister with me today, Sister Fatimah Sareshwala. Assalamu alaikum, sister.
Walaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
How are you doing?
Alhamdulillah, how are you doing?
Alhamdulillah, I'm doing good too. Sister Fatima is from my own city, and mashallah, tabarakallah, I have attended so many workshops of her, which were amazing. And also, one of her workshops was the one that led me to started wearing hijab for me and also for a lot of women in the city as well, including my cousins. So that's how I know her. But apart from that, let me quickly introduce you. Sister Fatima is a passionate educator, teacher trainer, and a trauma informed parent coach. She has spent the last decade working alongside children, women, and educators on their journey of growth and healing. She has worked as a Teach for India Fellow and later stepped into leadership roles with Islamic schools. Fatima now works closely with parents, Muslim women, and teachers through workshops and on one-on-one coaching. And mashallah, she has also started her group coaching program, which I am already a part of, as a parenting one-on-one coaching, group coaching. And she's helping them reconnect with their purpose, show up with presence, and raise emotionally grounded children. Her own healing and spiritual journey deeply inform her work, creating safe, reflective spaces for others to rise with intention and faith. She's also the founder of Wandering Minds, a growing platform that offers meaningful learning experiences for children and mothers, weaving together creativity, emotional awareness, and love for the deen. She's also a mother of three beautiful kids, and she is homeschooling them. Allahumma barik. And Sister Fatima was the first one I think I learned the concept of unschooling from. So, inshallah, I feel like this podcast is going to be packed with a lot of new insights, wisdom, and ways to reconnect with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
Thank you so much for that introduction.
Thank you so much for being here today, giving our time. It's an honor to have you. So, I would love to begin knowing your backstory because I think when I first met you, it was long, long back, even before you became a mother.
Yeah.
So, what led you to starting parenting coach? What led you to? What was that feeling when did you realize that I want to unlearn everything that I had and relearn all the parenting tools and techniques again?
Yeah. So basically, if I talk a little bit about my childhood, I feel like it was a little different from everybody else's childhood. Like I did not go to school until grade 2. So back then, like in 90s, my parents had decided to homeschool me, like homeschool all of us basically. And so they did not send us to school like everyone else went to school in as a kindergarten. We didn't go to school. My mom taught me. So she was the one who taught me Quran. She was the one who taught me the basic languages, the initial years. And then for some reason they couldn't continue and we did actually go to school after that. But the first time I went to school was from grade 2 when I was 8 year old. And after I went to school, like the whole school life, you know how school is, and being a minority in a like here in India, being a minority, like you face a lot of discrimination, you face a lot of uh, like different opinions and everything. You look differently basically, especially when you are practicing visible Muslim. So
Mhm.
I think that experience, being in school, being out in open as a Muslim woman, made me think, made me conscious of whatever we are going through. And that was like, I remember from then on, my vision has always been to work for women and children of our society, or for Muslim community. And even as when I went to college, how I was looked on, those were the things that shaped me, that I want to work. to instill that confidence among Muslims, among especially women and children. That's how it began. And like as long as I remember, from the time I was in college, my vision has been to work for Muslim children and uh, women, right? And like if I talk about parenting, when I first time became pregnant, when the first time I wanted, I was going to be a mother, like everything else I did, I definitely wanted to be the best mother, like we all want to. And I started studying about it, right? I did a lot of parenting courses, a lot of courses related to homeschooling, unschooling. And because I have the background in education, I was volunteering in a school while I was in college. Then I worked with Teach for India, where I got a like close understanding of how children work, the develop like how the child development takes place and everything. So closely looking at children, closely working with parents and families, I decided that this is not the place I want my children to be in. I want to give a flexible, I want to give I want to give a space where their creativity would be nurtured, where they would be on their fitra. And that's how, like, I was sure I don't want them to go to school. And then I decided to explore other things. And that's how I learned about unschooling. I learned about parenting. I, because even as a like child or very young, I could notice the problem or the issues rooted in the school system, rooted in the parenting. I could feel that. And that's how I decided to learn I would call it parenting on fitra, parenting through understanding, parenting through love. So that's how my journey began as a parent coach. I started learning about parenting, and that's how I reached here.
SubhanAllah, this is such a rising topic as well, right? I had so many women on my podcast up till now who are doing homeschooling from different parts of the world, and they have chosen something like homeschooling, and they are so strong and firm in their decision. So I was very keen and I was looking into it. And I also came across this podcast by Stephen Hardison, The Diary of CEO. He had someone very knowledgeable, I forgot, but someone from like you from the education industry. And she was also talking about how the system is not good. And she talked about some of the studies that came out where they did a study on the set of children from the age they joined the school till high school. So the same students, they kept doing their study. So the study was like I think it was over a period of 10 years or so. And what they noticed was that in the beginning, the brains, when they matched the brains with whatever data they had of Einstein brains, when they matched their brains with Einstein brains, they said almost 90% of the kids matched the Einstein brain. And gradually, as they moved in the education system further, some kids dropped, then some more kids dropped, then some more kids dropped. And by the time they were age of 10, they only 1 or 2% of kids were matching with the Einstein brain. So they concluded that the schools are actually making the kids dumb.
Yeah.
SubhanAllah. And I was so amazed. I was like, wow. And then there was this other podcast where the lady was talking about how in today's time, everyone needs to work to get back to routine. So does the mother needs to get back to routine, her working. And the first few months or the first few imprint period of the child, the primary caregivers are not around as much. And the study showed how that is affecting in terms of anxiety levels in kids are increasing, separation anxiety, and all those things. So now that you talked about it, and since you were part of the system, can you also highlight some of the problems and issues that you actually saw in there, which you thought that this is it, this is what I don't want my kids to experience or to go through?
So, you were talking about that research and how like the children's brain were getting different after being part of the system. and like how school is dumbing up. There's actually a book called Dumbing Us Down, and I did read that, like how the whole system is making the kids dumb, right? Just look at, and this is any school, right? Even uh, so-called elite schools or alternate schools that are like that focus on alternate education everywhere, that there are leaders, right? The teachers, and children from the beginning have to do what the teacher asks them to do. So once they get into that groove of somebody asking them to do and then doing, right? So they lose their inner creativity, their willingness to do something. Like if you look at the system, it's all about do this, do that, and it is not designed keeping in mind the child at the center, right? It is not designed for the child.
Mm.
And people on the top are designing things for the students without keeping them at the center. So imagine how would this system work for them? And then like fixed structure, fixed system. Now when you look at children, when you watch children, different kids, they're all different. Are they same? Are they meant to be in the same place learning the same thing? When they desire something else, when their talent is different, when the potential is different,
Mm.
right? But in school system, everybody is expected to conform and be part of the same thing. Everyone has to learn English, math, science. Everybody has to excel at these specific subjects. But when we look at children, all of them are different. They want different things from life. Their personalities are different, right?
Yeah.
Their learning style is different. Everybody doesn't learn just by listening or looking at the board. Some people, like we know that there are different kind of learners. Some are
Yeah.
kinesthetic learners, some are visual learners, right? Some are auditory learners. But are our systems designed to cater to all kind of uh, different personalities? So
Mm.
that is something that has always bothered me. But apart from that, I've been thinking, like, who are the people my children would spend 6, 7 hours with? Who are those people? Do we know enough about them? Do they align to my values? Right? So
Mm.
if like I want to give my child my values, right? I want, like, we have specific thing in our mind that I want my child to align on my faith, right? To be confident in his identity, his or her identity. But I'm thinking, well, if they are going to some place and going to be there for 6, 7 years, sorry, 6, 7 hours for 12 years, then do I know enough of the people who they are going to be surrounded with? Like, can I trust them? So
Yeah.
those are the questions that I've been that I've been thinking about. And then my answer was, because I have been in the system, I know who are these people. Even if, and I'm not like, I'm not here to judge anybody. I'm not here to judge anyone's intention. But even with the best intention, can they give what they want to give to my child? Will they be able to? Especially if there are like 30, 40 children in the same classroom. So, like, this is just tip of the iceberg, but there are so many questions on my mind when I'm thinking about schools and being part of the system. I was very sure that uh, because I know better, I need to do better.
Mm. Yeah, that's true. And you very, in a very good wavelength, you covered almost all the points, mashallah. And it was an eye opener because I never thought it that way. Like you do think about, okay, you go check the school, you go check the campus, you try to, you don't know how the environment is going to be. Okay, there's more play-based learning. But what about knowing the class teachers inside out? What about knowing, you have no control over the fact that what are they learning in school? What kind of values they're coming up with? And sometimes the behavior changes we see, right? After they come back from school. For some, like for me, I sometimes observe this really different behavior of my daughter, and I get so curious. It's like, where is this coming from?
Yeah.
But we can never know that.
Yeah, because
So,
See, it's like even if I'm thinking, even if I have best connection with my child and like I'm attuned with their emotions and they're easily able to talk to me, I'm thinking, will they be able to share everything that happens
Yeah,
in school for 6 7 hours with me? And I understand, like some people tell me that, like, how much are you going to protect them? Like these are the questions I'm asked. I'm like, I know I'll never be able to protect them all the time, but at least in these developing years it's my responsibility to nurture, to keep them safe. And when they are ready, when they have that confident, when they are confident on their identity, then they will be going out, they will be meeting people, and that's fine. But before that, I think, I believe I need to keep them close
yeah,
and like protect them from outside influences, especially in these times.
definitely. The increase in fitna right now in the world, and not just fitna, the kind of abuse we see, that
Yeah.
every single day there is something or the other news that we see, and the amount, with the speed it's rising, it is very challenging to send your kids out. So for that matter, it is about protection as well. But at
Yes.
the same time, I love that how Islam also tells us that they are our amana.
Yes.
We are going to be held accountable for them. So I'm not saying that we can be 24/7 with them, protecting them. Qadra Allah wa ma sha fa'al. You need to have tawakkul and you need to surrender to the qadra. Some things are going to happen. But at the same time, trying your best and giving your best is also necessary.
Yeah.
Now, I'm really curious to know that I think your eldest one is 6 year old, right?
Yes.
So it's been,
Mhm.
mashallah, 6 years that you have been parenting.
Yes.
Was there any, like, was there in the beginning, was there triggers or the pain from your past, any kind of trauma which pushed you that, no, I want to take this path, I want to work on myself? Or was it even before, like before, like you got pregnant and that is when the real desire began and you already started investing in yourself? Or was it after the challenges that came with parenting?
So, when I started reading about parenting, I think the first book I read was Conscious Parenting. Uh, so when I started knowing, getting more and more into learning about parenting, one thing I realized is parenting is so much about me as a parent than about the child. What struck me was that it's not about disciplining or controlling the child, it's actually about disciplining and controlling myself. The whole parenting is actually healing myself, is working on myself. And that I think that was the moment that like hit me, that the more I work on my own self, the better a parent I'm going to be. And I realize that it's not possible to be a good parent if I don't heal from my past traumas, if I don't work on my triggers. And so I think the healing journey and parenting journey both started together. Like, because the realization was when I became a parent,
Mm.
that I need to be a reflective mother. I need to reflect on my practices. And that's when I did a course, Reboot, where like it was literally about rebooting yourself. I started learning more about how to working on myself, how to like heal from the triggers, how to understand myself, how to be more emotionally intelligent. So that's when the journey began. Alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah. And for the mothers out there who are probably listening to this podcast, can you give them some advice of what to do when they're triggered? Because I think this is the most common question that mothers have these days, is that we often get triggered very easily. And
Yeah.
we all know what we don't have to do. You
Yes.
don't have to shout, you don't have to yell. Raising hand is beyond the question, even in terms of Islamically raising kids. And not having angry expressions, not showing anger, even not leaving the room because that might leave the kid having abandonment issues. So we all know the don'ts, the do not
Yeah.
do this, do not do that. What are the do's that you would recommend for the time when they get triggered?
So, as a parent and a parent coach, like since I've been doing trauma informed parent coach certification program, one thing I've realized that nothing and nobody triggers us like our kids, like our own children.
Yeah.
They are the biggest triggers for us. And like I've realized that I didn't even know certain triggers were there before I had kids. And yes, like we know, okay, don't do this, don't do that. That's all out there, and a lot of reels and everything focuses on Instagram and like everywhere that don't do this, don't do that, and it brings a lot of shame. So one thing, I believe we need to get rid of that shame by accepting that triggers will be there.
Mm.
We have childhood wounds. We were parented in a way, in a different way, which left some scars. And like we explain trauma as a wound, like physical literal wound, right? So when there is a literal wound, you have to do something about it. It's not going to go on its own. Like
Mm.
imagine you're wounded. You have you've gotten hurt, right? And there is a scar. And just by doing nothing, it's going to grow more, isn't it?
Yeah.
You have to do something. You have to put a band-aid, you have to put a medicine or something, then only that wound will heal. Similarly, we have lots of childhood wounds and we need to heal them to be able to work on our triggers. Now, how does that happen? I think first step is awareness and acceptance.
Mm.
First step is to be aware that yes, I'm going to get triggered. Yes, this is an issue. And like how I teach my parents that first you have to accept it, you have to be aware about it, and you think of trigger as a message,
Mm.
right? It's giving a message, it's giving an information. Listen to it, listen to the message it's giving. When
Mm.
you get triggered, it means that part of you needs to get healed. Basically, whenever, and not with just with children, whenever anything is triggering you, anybody is triggering you, or you feel that you are responding or reacting in a way that like much more than actually what happened, then that means that part needs healing, and you need to remove the shame, because shame is going to make you stuck. It's not going to help you. Yeah. So recognizing, being aware means definitely you're going to do something about it. Then you try to understand about it. Then you try to accept it, that okay, that happened, right? And then obviously one thing is like I would say long term work of healing, of understanding your triggers, being aware of your triggers, knowing your triggers basically, right? Literally listing down your triggers. So that's a long term work. But then there's also something called short term, like at that moment, what do I do? So then one, you make a plan, safe plan, right? How are you going to keep yourself and people around you, especially your children, safe when you are getting triggered, so
Mm.
that you don't hurt them? Hurting is never okay. So, but then you can have self compassion, think about it, have a plan. Then there are obviously a lot of grounding techniques, pausing, how to be present at that moment. So, I believe learning techniques help, right? Knowing the skill. It's about knowing the skill, not getting shamed, but having the skills to what to do when I get triggered. Yeah.
Mm. Yes, definitely. And I love how you said that take triggers as a message. Don't take it in a very negative light or shame yourself that I'm being triggered. It's more like an opportunity, you know, to heal, an opportunity to learn something new about you and work on it. So, mashallah, that's good that we need to start seeing triggers as well in a very positive light instead of shaming ourselves on it. And I think we all get triggered some or the other way, especially with kids. It's going to happen. So, shame is not going to solve the problem. But,
If you don't mind, can I interrupt and
yeah.
share something? So I just got I heard this somewhere, I read it, that we think we are doing tarbiyah, right? We are doing tarbiyah of our children.
Mm.
And somebody told me, or somewhere I read, that actually our kids are Allah Ta'ala sent us children to do our tarbiyah,
Yeah.
right?
Subhanallah. Yeah.
Just
That's
wanted to.
true. That is so true. I think the healing journey that I had and the desire to work on myself only came after my daughter. And some days I feel like if I wouldn't have gone through all these challenges, the trials, the hardships, I would have never been on that journey. And
Exactly.
that journey is what made me today where I am. So it was all, alhamdulillah, the divine planning of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But surrendering to it is what gave me a lot of peace.
Like Allah gives us what we need. So the children, our children, Allah knows that we needed them. Allah knows that we needed that triggers to work on ourselves to heal. So instead of thinking why this or why is this child doing this, what is Allah Ta'ala trying to teach me here? What does Allah want me to do here? I think those would be the better question to ask ourselves, and that would lead us to the path basically.
Yeah. As an experienced mother, I also wanted to ask you, so many women who come in my coaching, they always share that after having kids, I don't feel spiritually very connected to Allah. I tend to lose my zikr routines. I feel like I am stuck and I am very further away from Allah. And I know somewhere that as a mother, it is challenging. I've been through that phase too. I had those moments too where I felt like my spiritual connection with Allah is dropping because you're so much stuck in the kids' routine, especially in the first few postpartum months. As an experienced mother of three, what would you advise these mothers on how to, how to make sure that your spiritual connection with Allah is something that you're not losing in those times of hardships?
Yeah. You know what's most beautiful about Islam? That uh, Allah Ta'ala does not ask specific things. Like it's not just that if you do this, then only you will get this. Allah Ta'ala honors uh, all of us, right? Allah Ta'ala honors all of us in every phase of life. And we know that how much Allah Ta'ala honors mothers and motherhood. So I believe accepting ourselves in that moment, right? Accepting that hardship and accepting that phase of life, that this is the season I am in, and maybe I will not be able to do as much zikr as I used to do before. I might not be able to read as much Quran as I was able to do before. But what I'm doing right now, I'm raising my children for the sake of Allah. That itself is an ibadah. So if you change your intention, then why you are doing it, if you are very intentional about raising children, about doing everything that you are doing, right, then that itself can become a spiritual connection towards Allah rather than away from Him. That's what I believe. That just making an intention,
Mm,
just making a purpose out of it, that why am I doing it, what's my purpose behind it, right? And that will be like that will give a spiritual connection to us. And also have like in different phase we lower our expectation, right? This what brings the stress is the high expectation. Like we have the same expectation from ourselves when were before kids, right? Our time is going to look very different. But then this what I'm doing, being present for my child, having that connection, just being with him is also an ibadah,
mm,
because my child is an amana from Allah, and I'm taking care of that for his sake, right? Then that itself will be able to lead us to Allah, inshallah.
inshallah. And how beautiful Islam is and how merciful our Rabb is that we are even getting rewarded for those intentions. So it is actually being counted as ibadah, as worship. So it's like a win-win. Alhamdulillah, it's a win-win. Now, lastly, I wanted to know any advice that you would like to give to mothers who are struggling, who feel they need their inner work, but that fire is missing, and who feel like they're stuck. They they feel their connection with Allah is losing, or just simply they feel like they have lost themselves because this is what happens in the early stages of motherhood, right? We feel like we are no more us. So, what advice would you like to give to them, or what would you like to say to them?
I would like to share that like one thing we need to learn as mothers is to ask for help, right? I feel like we have been conditioned, especially women and mothers, we've been conditioned to think that we have to do it all. or like that loneliness, that burden is a burden of trying to do it all, or conforming to the rules of the society, that okay, as a mother I need to do be like that, I need to do this, as a woman I need to be like that, I need to do that, right? So trying to understand yourself and accepting yourself, and when you need help, asking for help. I
Mm,
think this is one way we can heal, because see, Allah Ta'ala made us social beings. We're not meant to be alone, we're not meant to do everything alone. So even if we don't, maybe we're feeling alone where we are, but we have to find our community. We
mm,
need that community, we need, especially as mothers, like they say, no, it's it takes a village to raise a child.
mm,
And right now in today's time we are missing that village, and that loneliness is, that isolation is coming from there, that we don't, every one of us does not have a village. And I think that's why you and I are also trying to create a community
mm,
where women can find solace in each other, where women can find support. So I feel like, ask for help, and once you start seeking something, once you start asking, you get it. Like,
mm,
because I wanted to be a better parent, because I wanted to learn parenting, I found somebody to teach me. I
mm,
found that course. If I did not have that desire, then I wouldn't have found anyone. Like,
mm,
similarly for all of us. So seeking help, once you seek help, in whichever way you need help, you will find it. Allah Ta'ala will give you what you ask.
mm. But you need
That
to
is
tie the
something.
camel first.
Yes. Yes.
Because what I see is that women always tell me that, okay, I've been making this dua, I've been making that dua, but nothing is coming into action. And I was like, nothing will come into action until you come into action.
Right.
You need to try to even seek those opportunities. You need to tie your camel as well. So make dua, but at the same time, try to find that community for yourself. Move ahead, look around. And I love how you said seek help because this is so important. And I don't know why in today's world, I feel like all these women have stepped into masculine energy
Yeah.
and they want to do it all by themselves. They're trying to either prove something to themselves or to others.
Right.
Like you said, trying to fulfill the expectations of the society. And the comparison that happens, especially in the brown culture, she can do it all. Why can't you? Almost, I think all the women can relate to this statement. And that creates so much unwanted pressure, especially for a new mother who's just trying to learn and survive in the beginning stages. Subhanallah, at that time, if you know that there is no shame in seeking help, that you don't have to comply to the standards of society. Like just having somebody telling you this, reminding you this constantly is also going to create such a big difference in how she's feeling emotionally and mentally. So, love that advice as well. Just,
Yeah, since I've just been a postpartum mother, I have a 3-month-old baby. I think what helped the most this time was complete acceptance. Accepting like every part of myself. Like, okay, my body is going to grow. Okay, my body needs rest. Uh, I'm like, Allah Ta'ala is growing a baby inside me. I need rest. Okay, Allah Ta'ala has asked me to take care of this baby who just came out of me, and I need to honor that. I need to respect that. And asking for help, resting, taking care of myself, because I am also an amana of Allah, right? So I think what helped me the most and what helped me thrive this time is not trying to do it all, resting,
mm,
just taking a complete break. And I understand everyone might not have the privilege to do that, but like asking Allah to give you that sukoon, to give you that rest
yeah,
that your body needs. And like, even if the help is not around, trying to find it, like I said, once you seek it, you will get it, inshallah. And Allah Ta'ala will give you that sukoon, that peace, that relaxation, that rest that you need, inshallah.
subhanallah. That's so true. This reminded me of a story. I'll quickly share it. So when I was back in Canada, I was all by myself. And I still remember I had a major cut in my finger, like I had to get stitches done. And while coming back home from the hospital, I was wondering how am I going to cook and how I'm going to do it. And just there, I just made this way, Yara, please just make it easy. Let me help me figure this out. Because I was not supposed to put my finger in water and there was no supposed to be movement. I was like, how am I going to manage all of this? And Sophia was like barely 1.5 months or something. So taking care of her and all of that. And when I got home, my neighbor and even my neighbor, like in the whole white, like proper white city I was living in with all white people around me. That's what I mean by white city. And there was this only one brown auntie.
Yeah.
And subhanAllah, I think it was the divine wisdom of Allah that her house was just one house away from me. There were 3 streets. She could have been living anywhere, but she was just one house away from me. And she was my ease in that hardship. I just reached home and she met me outside. She's like, what happened? I was like, I'm coming back from hospital. I cut my finger. She was like, okay. Then I go inside, and in meanwhile, my door gets knocked, and her son is standing on the door with a full plate of food that I
Okay.
could eat for the morning and evening. Like it would easily suffice my family of 3 for the whole day.
Sure.
I was like, subhanallah. Like sometimes you just have to trust Allah.
Yes.
Your ease is written in that hardship, and it is already going to come to you.
Yeah.
Make dua and have tawakkul.
Definitely.
And like these are the small stories, right? You see, right? That it does come and it does get answered. So hold on to that dua and don't, even if it's taking months to get answered, there is wisdom behind it, and at the right time, it's going to get answered.
Definitely. And as they say, sometimes you have to go out and bring your dua in. Like that that's how sometimes dua comes to you, and sometimes you have to go out there and get the dua. But it always comes.
Oh,
And when we reflect, like all of us, we will have those stories. If we sit and reflect that
yes.
we asked and Allah gave us. Maybe we forgot about it, but Allah gave us,
I like it. That's right.
and His
So many
promises we have.
times. Like I think it's been 3 years that I started making the dua journaling.
Mm-hmm.
And this happens when you go back to those duas, you don't realize that they were already answered. It's only when you read them, there's so much gratitude that subhanAllah, this already got answered. I had no idea that was my dua in the
Definitely.
first place.
And sometimes we're already living in dua, like
Reading those
living in
duas.
dua that someone else might have been asking.
Yeah, that's true. Jazakallahu khairan, Sister Fatima. This was an amazing podcast. And for the listeners, can you please share us a little bit about your group coaching program? Because I think it's for 2 months and it's going to end in September, August, September. So when is
Yes.
the next cohort? How long the duration is? Just so that if any of the listeners are interested, they can get in touch with you.
Yeah. Like I have two group coaching program. One we call it Reboot You. It's like a personality healing program for women. It's a 12 weeks program, and another one is like a respectful parenting program. It's based in neuroscience and Islam, and it's a 8 week program. It's a techniques. But generally, when we talk about respectful parenting or gentle parenting, people have a lot of misunderstanding about them. They think it's gently talking to the child, or not saying anything, or not correcting. But those are all misconceptions. And here in our program, we actually learn the techniques, the neuroscience behind that. We learn about how brain works, and what works and what does not work, how to create boundaries. So basically, I feel like when I did that program and now when I'm teaching, it's really a transformational program. to me as an individual, but also a transformational for the relationship that we have with our children. So it's an 8-week program which I learned under Mariam Munir, and now like I've trained under her, and now inshallah I'll be teaching this program, and next batch will start inshallah in September.
All right, inshallah. So I'll share the details in the bio for anyone who is interested. Please reach out to Sister Fatima through her Instagram. And I think she also has a website. Jazakallahu khairan, Sister Fatima. This was a complete honor and I thoroughly enjoyed talking to you.
Same here. Jazakallah so much for asking me, for inviting me here. It was really nice talking to you. And like these conversations are enriching, and like basically when we have these conversations, it like, we are creating a community here, and it's such an honor to be part of this group.
I know, Alhamdulillah. And being the chosen ones of Allah and being in this place where we get to invite, subhanAllah, it's a divine blessing that I'm never going to take for granted. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala put lots of barakah in your work, and may the right women get attracted and seek help, inshallah.
Jazakallah khair.
Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum.